you guys. Welcome back to Bright Violet Arts. My name is Valerie, and in the video today, I am setting up my bullet journal for the month of July 2024. Starting with the cover art, I'm just doing a loose sketch of some florals, and I'm going to paint them in with some acrylic gouache paint. So this acrylic gouache paint, it's a hybrid paint of acrylic and gouache, as the name suggests. And it dries down flat and matte the way that gouache does, but it is a permanent finish like acrylic. So it won't reactivate the way traditional gouache does if it were to get wet again. This is a permanent finish, and it's great for bullet journal because it doesn't flake off or transfer, and it also really does not warp the pages at all. So I find it is one of my favorite mediums for decorating and illustrating my bullet journal. Now, where I live in the United States, our big holiday is July 4th. Everywhere you go is stars and stripes and red, white, and blue. So I didn't, totally lean into that. I didn't want to go over the top with patriotic imagery, but I did want to kind of have a nod at it. So I chose a color palette that has red, white, and blue, or like a burgundy, a navy, and a French blue. But then I added a couple other colors, like a mauve and a dusty, like gray green for the background. So I'm going to go with that. And then I have a quote over here that references independence, and it is also attributed to a former First Lady, Betty Ford. So that's about all I'm going to do to reference the July 4th holiday, but it's kind of nice to keep it seasonal in a subtle way, I guess. In addition to the paint that I'm using for most of the artwork, I will be adding some washi tape, just a solid color washi tape like this, to a few of the pages. And on each page throughout the design, I'm going to create some version of this botanical pattern. It's like a vine that has overlapping branches, some stars and flowers, and I'm just going to keep repeating it on every page. And I really like to do that whenever I'm designing a bullet journal theme. I tend to pick details out of the cover page and then repeat them over and over to allow everything to go together seamlessly throughout the monthly setup. So here's a look at the cover page. I think it turned out very fresh and light and fun. And now we're moving on to the calendar page. So again, in the spirit of cohesiveness, I am starting with a green-gray circle, just like I did on the cover page, only I'm going to overlap it with my calendar. For the line work, for the calendar construction, as well as for some of the details in the artwork, I'm going to switch over to fine point paint pens. This white one is by Posca, but all the other colors I'm using are going to be from the Archer and Olive acrylograph line. And the acrylographs are just great for offering such a variety of colors that I cannot find, or I have never found in any other brand. And I have dozens of paint pen sets from different companies, but Archer and Olive is definitely supreme at offering the widest range of colors that I have found in paint pens. So if that's something that you're interested in for your collection, or if you want to make an Archer and Olive purchase, I am an A&O affiliate, and if you go to archerandolive.com and use the code BrightVioletArts10, you will get a 10% discount at checkout. Getting back to the time lapse, I am just creating the same kind of flower art on this page as I did on the cover. Because I went with a chunky flower style, the blossoms have these chunky squared off petals. I didn't want to have a chunky leaf to go with it because it would be a little heavy. So to make the design more delicate, I used a slim elongated leaf. And to provide a little bit of dimension, I am going to go around the right side of every petal with this lighter dusty pink shade, just to kind of indicate where the light might be hitting that flower. And here I am making a place for any notes that I want to take this month. I'm going to decorate those highlighted lines with a few of the elements from that botanical pattern that I used on the cover page. I don't have to do the full scale vine exactly the way I did on the first page. I can just scatter a few flowers and stars and dots here in that corner to achieve that callback that I'm looking for to that design. So here's the finished calendar page. All right, for the third spread, this is kind of a dashboard planner for the month of July. I am including a place there for tasks and goals, and I'm going to repeat the same style of artwork again here. And as I've done on the previous designs, I am taking that fine point white Posca pen and outlining the design just in the places that it hits the gray-green background. So I'm not outlining the whole design, but just the places that are going to touch the background to set it away from that circle. On the opposite page, I'm using a miniature calendar stamp to create a spot to track 6 habits. And then I'm going to use the rest of the space for a back to school checklist. I have a daughter who goes back to school in August, so the preparations that I'm going to be doing this month, I want to keep track of here. And here is a final look at the completed dashboard spread. Okay, it is time to get into the weekly layouts, and I created 5 totally different weekly designs this month, and that's something I like to do once in a while, is to change it up from week to week, because I just find that having like a fresh page in my planner or in my bujo, it makes me more likely to use those pages and fill them in, completely if it's exciting to look at. So here's a final look at the first weekly. I am going on now to the second weekly spread of the month. And again, this one has horizontal boxes for my daily tasks. And I don't love horizontal boxes in terms of function. I would much rather write my tasks or whatever information I'm recording. I would rather write that in a column format so I can word wrap just after a single item. However, the aesthetic look of the horizontal boxes is really, really cute for this layout. And so I let form, override function this time, as I do a lot in bullet journaling. I mean, a lot of it is just about the cuteness of everything, and I will freely admit that. For me, when I started bullet journaling, it was definitely about the function. It was about the planning and the ability to create a planner that was customized to my lifestyle, my needs, my interests and desires. So that's definitely how it started, but I quickly realized that it was a vehicle for my artistic ambitions. My illustration essentially is what it is. It's a vehicle for illustration for me. And it provides this opportunity for me each month to be creative and be thoughtful and mindful about not only what am I going to do with this fresh new month that's ahead of me, this opportunity in my life, for more time to reach my goals, but it also gives me a chance to explore my artistic ambition and to work on refining artistic skills. And for a lot of people out there, I know that it's the same. I know that the bujo community is a really interesting mix of people who are motivated by the function or motivated by the artistry of this hobby. So, whichever one it is for you, or if it's both, like it is for me, I hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that you get some ideas and inspiration for your own journal keeping hobby or lifestyle that you pursue. Please hit the like button and consider subscribing. If you do get value from this video, I would love to see you over on Instagram as well, where I post journaling content and some of my other artistic work, including people and pet portraits. So you can find me over at Bright Violet Arts on Instagram if that is something you're into. Getting into the fourth weekly spread of the month. This is the last complete week of the month, although I do have another monthly spread following this one that covers reflections and the last 3 weeks of the month. But I am back to my comfort zone in this particular setup because I am working with columns again with these vertical boxes. I am going to scatter bits of that vine into the corners of each of these daily boxes and just sprinkle in elements from that botanical pattern to fill it out. I'm using my circle template here to create the circles I'll use for the dates of each weekday. Again, I'm going back to my white Posca pen to put in the date numbers. And then I am just outlining some of my paint pen shapes here with the Sakura Moonlight Jelly Rolls gel pens. Here's how the final 4th week turned out. And lastly, I'm moving on to my reflections page. This is my monthly review. I'm going to size up the month in a sense of productivity with a few different categories of information, but it's also going to be for memory keeping purposes. So I'm going to have boxes here to include highlights of the month, what I consider to be my successes or my big wins of the month, any challenges that I encountered, and then finally for fun, my playlist, whatever songs I've had on repeat during July. So there's a look at the last weekly and the reflections, and now it's time for a flip through of the whole setup. If you made it to this point in the video, I would love it if you left a star emoji in the comments section. That is very fun for me to see who made it all the way through. I appreciate that. Let me know if you have any questions about the supplies or techniques that I used today, or if you have questions about bullet journaling in general. I would love to help you out if I can with a reply in the comments. Also, I'm always interested in your suggestions or feedback when it comes to the videos that I create. If you have a topic for a video that you'd like to see me address on this channel, let me know. I would love to see it in the comments and see if I can do something to resolve that request. I hope you enjoyed the design this month. I loved the summery feel of the florals and the botanicals. I will be back a little bit earlier in July with my August Plan With Me. It's going to come out in the first week of July. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.